Yo guys, what up? Nick Brawlin here. Today I'm going to be giving you another Rwby discussion video. And by the title of this video, I'm pretty sure all of you will hate me after saying this. However, it needs to be said. I feel like it has to be said. Now, everybody and their mother are asking, will Neo return? And this is very common with people who have supposedly died in a show or in a movie, but the actual death sequence isn't actually seen. And in Rwby, it's no different. All we saw was that Rwby hit a button on Neo's umbrella and she took off into the wind. That's all we saw. We didn't actually see her die. Therefore, the most common response is, well, is she dead? And I don't think she's dead. And the question I'm going to be proposing to all of you today is not the question of if she's going to return, but should she return. Now, I don't think she should return. Not just yet. I mean, she can, but I don't think it's the appropriate time. Now, Cinder, we're going to talk about Cinder to get into my point of why Neo should not return right now. Cinder is most likely going to come after Rwby for revenge. I mean, Cinder was all about having power and wanting to be feared, as she said in Rwby Volume 3, Chapter 7. And Rwby took away that power in that moment where she unleashed her silver eyes. She took away what power Cinder had. Therefore, in Cinder's mind, she's probably thinking like, I gotta get back at this Rwby girl. I gotta get her back. I gotta kill her or whatever. And that means she's going after revenge. And that just seems like the most likely response from Cinder. Someone like Cinder. And, as seen in Rwby Volume 4, I think it was Chapter 11, Cinder does hold a sort of resentment against Rwby. No, it was the last chapter, Chapter 12, No Safe Haven. We saw her still holding resentment towards Rwby, wanting to get back at her when Emerald projected an image of Rwby, and Cinder burnt the image. So it's safe to say for right now, Cinder is coming for revenge. Now here's where Neo comes into the picture of why I don't believe she should return just yet. Neo's only motive I can personally see right now is coming back for revenge. Now, above all, we don't know that much about Neo. As a matter of fact, we basically know nothing about her, other than she's incredibly skilled and powerful in combat, and her semblance is very, very useful. Which I can't remember what her semblance is. I think it's projecting a false image, and she gets to just mess with people's minds. I think that's what it is. I don't remember. However. So, hold on. Neo has never spoken a word within the Rwby show. So we don't know that much about her. We don't know her character that well. All we know is that she was with Roman, and depending on her mentality, if she's an emotional person, she may or may not come for revenge on Rwby, because it's reasonable to assume Neo, Roman, and Rwby were the only ones on the plane. She could have found Roman's hat and cane and just thought that Rwby somehow killed Roman. And here's the thing. It's reasonable to assume that she would come after revenge. While we don't know if she's an emotional character that would do something like this, that's the only reasonable thing we have to go on. That she would come after Rwby for revenge. And if I'm being honest, I don't want to see two villains go after a single protagonist for the same reason. It seems redundant and it seems pointless to me. Plus, I think when it comes to who I personally want to see and who I think we should see for revenge, it should be Cinder. Now, you could argue against my point of that and say that, well, we don't know anything about Neo, and therefore, if Neo had her time to shine with revenge, it could give us more insight into her character. Sure, but right now, I'm more invested in Cinder. We saw her throughout volumes 1, 2, and 3, and 4. We know her the best. We have more to go on her. We've seen her in action. She's powerful. She's manipulative. She's smart. Everything a good villain should be. She's deceitful. She's perceptive. Everything a good villain should be. We've seen her in action. We have more to go on. We have more things to theorize. We have more just to go on and to be more involved with her character. Whereas Neo, we saw her a couple of times, and most of it was just during a fight scene and disguised as an air pilot flying a ship to get Cinder and her crew out of the Vital Vista tournament area. When it comes to Neo, we just don't have that much. We just don't know her enough. And I believe that's the reason why she should stay out of the show until Cinder is somehow dealt with. Now, there's always the possibility Neo is not emotional. And because she was working with Roman, and Rwby's current location is in Mistral, it's very reasonable to assume she could be working in the black market. As it's explained in the world of Remnant, Mistral is home to the world's largest black market. And if Neo was working with Roman, we can assume she's some criminal type character. I mean, obviously. And she could be at the black market. We don't know. And we don't know if that'll even play into the story. So basically what I'm saying is, should Neo return? She can, but at this moment, I don't think it's the right time for her to come back. And this is just going with me saying she's going to come after Rwby for revenge. I'm more invested in Cinder's character. We've seen more of her. We know her better. I think we should let this thing with Cinder play out. And if Neo comes for revenge, then for the most part, fine, she can come back. But right now, I just don't think it's the time. Or if she does come back in this chapter or future chapters, I think it should be in the black market and Mistral. So that's where I stand with where Neo should and shouldn't return. Until Cinder is resolved, I don't think she should come back. But if she does come back, I think it should be for the black market and Mistral, somehow fitting that into the story. Just, I don't think it's very logical or very reasonable to put her in the story again just yet. Now, I'm a big fan of Neo. I like her character design, and I like her. You know, I do, and I want to know more about her, just like we haven't seen that much of Raven. While we have more to go on with Raven, we haven't seen more about her. And the same is with Neo. We don't have that much to go on her, but I'm still very curious about her character. The same can be said with Raven. But like I said, we have more to go on with Raven than we do Neo, but they're in practically the same boat. We don't have that much to go on, and we just want to know more about them. So let me know in the comments below if you think Neo should return in this volume or not. That is completely up to you, and if you want to give it an opinion that is more based around your personal decision of whether she should return, then so be it. But story-wise, I just don't think it's a smart move just yet, until the stuff with Cinder is resolved. So, if you like this video, rate it 1 through 10. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that fun crap. And yeah, this is Nick Browen out with a yay.